your host, Greg Bolt. I'm here today with Cara Meredith. Cara is an author, is a mom, is a speaker, world traveler, all-around great person. And ironically, the funny thing, I want to start by telling a quick story before I let Cara go, because I think we can get going and it'll be hard for either of us to get a word in. But so Cara's book that came out last year called Church Camp, Bad Skits, Cry Nights, and How White Evangelicalism Betrayed a Generation. Fantastic book about deconstruction, about camp life, the beauty of it, and also some of the pitfalls that has a particular sect of Christianity has used it for some sort of not so great things. But the reason I bring that up is because a few weeks ago, when Cara and I actually met, which was a couple months ago, a friend of mine, his wife, one of my best friends in the whole world, his wife, who is also a friend of mine, texted me and said, "Hey, my friend is going to be in your town this week. You should go see her." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And she sent me the flyer. And lo and behold, Cara was speaking on a panel with another Presbyterian pastor in my town who happened to be my wife's college roommate. And then I bought the book and realized that my best friend, one of my best friends in the world, had endorsed the book, and his little blurb is in the book. I don't know how much anyone should necessarily value his opinion, but he's a wonderful dude, and his family's great. And so Cara and I have this deep connection, even though we've only known each other for a few months. And also, she lives near me, or her family lives near me, but she lives down near my friend down sort of in the Bay Area, Northern California area. So, Cara, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for putting up with the Rennicks, and they're wonderful people. I love them very much. So, Cara, I wanted to talk to you just sort of broad strokes, but if you could help us understand how you got here. You were, grow up, camp kid, camp speaker, camp leader, super involved in the church, and then found some questions that you had, which led to your writing of the book and some of the work that you've been doing over the last few years. So could you talk as little or as much detail as you want about that journey?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I can, Dr. Greg Bolt. So my story, I was born in California, although we're not going to go all the way back there, but grew up mostly in Salem, Oregon. So I am a byproduct of the good people of the Pacific Northwest. Grew up at an American Baptist church in Salem, and then got really involved with an organization called YoungLife when I was in high school. I then was I was a high school English teacher for a number of years, and I then went on staff with YoungLife for several years, for nearly a decade. And ultimately, I left YoungLife staff, as far as location wise, I've just kind of been up and down the West Coast. I've been this West Coast mutt, claiming spots in Oregon, Washington, and California along the way. I left YoungLife staff at the very end of 2012, beginning of 2013. And I would say that at that point, leaving staff was also, it became an impetus for me to start questioning my faith. And so when you introduced the book, Greg, you said it is both a book of my own deconstruction process, faith deconstruction process, but it's also of a story or of a place that is dear to me, which is to say church camps being camps that I worked at for a number of years, both through YoungLife and other denominations. But at that point, it led me to really start asking big questions, and to ask questions that I think when I was full-time in that environment, I didn't always feel free to ask. And so that included questions about who was and wasn't welcome at the table. It included questions about who I was then seeing or not seeing at the table. So fast forward, what is that? 12 years later, I'm still not a great math teacher / was never a math teacher, but I still find a home in the Christian tradition under the umbrella of Christianity, but very much claim mainline traditions and find a home in the Episcopal Church now. So my theology has gone through a really big shift.
Yeah. So as you started to dig into that, started to ask the questions after you left the YoungLife staff, which has now led you to an Episcopalian, which is it's
Wildly
wild.
different. Yes.
Right. And especially not just theology, but liturgy and how that sort of like form.
Yeah.
What are those questions that you started asking? Who's at the table? Who's allowed at the table?
Yeah.
Who's not, and why? And sort of how you sort of dug into that theological and ethical dilemmas that you had run into.
Yeah, I mean, and I should say also, so that's a great question. I should also say, I think for all of us, when we go through a spiritual evolution or when we experience a faith deconstruction, whatever we want to call it, when there's a morphing and a changing that takes place in the life of faith or spirituality, I don't think it often it's not a one-hit wonder. Maybe it is for some people, but mine really, this is where I can say it started in 2012, but really I can also look back and go, oh, I think it also started when I voted blue for the first time, 10 years earlier. It started when my first friend came out to me. And there we were in a very conservative environment, and he was the one who loved Jesus the most. And for someone who had always heard a message of loving the sinner but hating the sin, a message I vehemently disagree with now, that it didn't make sense to me. So I think there were so many points along the way. But fast forward again to that moment, 2013. By then, I didn't necessarily. I don't know if I would have even claimed a particular denomination. I think my American Baptist roots are very strong. I now see if we're going to spend time nerding out theologically, I can see how those are strong within me. But my very last class in seminary, my master's is in theology. My very last class was actually on the Anglican tradition, and it was one of those. It was kind of a one-off class. I just needed to I just needed course credits so I could graduate. And I'm reading all these books and writing these papers, and this was at the exact same time. I left YoungLife staff, and then I started this class a month later. So my master's came 6 months after I left staff. And for me, reading about Anglican theology as a whole, but then particularly the Episcopal tradition, it filled in so many holes for me. I think by that time in my faith, I was so done with black and white thinking, and I found a theology and a way of thinking that is not just certainly within the Episcopal tradition, but it was embraced. The mystery was embraced. The mystery and lack of certainty was embraced in a way that I had never experienced or been given permission from before. When prior to that, it was about having an answer to the questions that I might be asked, so that if others asked me, and we can go and we can parse out bits of scripture from that right there, but so that I might have an answer for the reason why I believe what I believe. So at that point to experience not knowing was so freeing for me. For me to experience a denomination, which certainly the PCUSA is included in this, and ELCA and a number of other mainline traditions that welcomed our
some
LGBT
Baptist even.
and the American Baptist now, certainly that it can still be very congregationally. The American Baptists, as if you don't know, those were originally the Northern Baptists, so they separated from the Southern Baptists in the Civil War, and so the American Baptists now are very much. It kind of depends on the minister who's in charge of that particular congregation, and obviously Baptists are very congregationally rooted, and so it's also what that particular body decides. But most American Baptist churches would probably consider themselves mainline more than evangelical now, but there are some that still hold evangelical roots. But the fact that everyone was welcome at the table was so gorgeous to me. And then I think there was pointedly the fact that it was so different from everything I had ever experienced. There was actually deep intrigue, and just going, I remember going for the first time and staring at the person next to me going, wait, how do I do that thing? Which
book am I supposed to use? There's so many books. Do I kneel now?
Yeah.
Oh, my knees are killing me.
The BC what? The BCP, the what? Like, is this like the Book of Mormon? Is this like
Is that the red one? Or
But it was so, I think there was that piece of intrigue in which spirituality, which is to say God or the divine, came to me anew. So now, X number of years later, I'm actually in the ordination process, as you know, I think, with the Episcopal Church. Maybe you did or didn't know that.
I didn't know that. That's exciting. Yeah.
Yes. So I will be ordained next year, as long as I don't get kicked to the curb, which who knows? I very well could.
I think you're probably, I know some Episcopalians. I think you're probably good.
Okay. So I'm still in at this point.
The Episcopal Church here in Salem is they're always there. I think they have an interim right now. So
okay. So I might I might just move back to Kaiser, Oregon 97303. I'm just saying. I don't know if Kaiser will have me either.
Represent.
I am this weird hybrid human of low church. I am still low church at my core. And in that way, but I feel a deep kinship with the Episcopal Church. And so I am starting to see within this denomination, I don't know if this will end, if I'll end up in a church or not. I could end up in full-time chaplaincy or simply, I don't know, guest speaking. They're figuring me out. But I see a lot of denominations now, including the Episcopal Church, realizing, we have a lot of folks who are coming over from the evangelical side of things. And so I really, and other traditions, but I see part of my call, for lack of a better word or phrase, potentially being one of maybe I am called to meet people in this weird third space that isn't so high church.
I love the idea of sort of that journey and finding space. And I think that's a deep need in our time. Like, I think people are struggling for belonging. They're struggling for a space to ask big questions. Mm-hmm. I've had like 5 different people talk to me about what a good thing, bad things happen to good people, right? This question of theodicy, right? Which is be like, well, how many volumes of books would you like to read on that? Mm-hmm. But so how do we? And there are some people that I think that are welcoming and open to that conversation, even if they have a particular point of view. Mm-hmm. But I think there's so many that have a point of view and are not welcome to that conversation, and they're loud. How do we invite folks like you and I, who are church people, and have kids and want to raise them in the faith of some kind, or help them at least have the tools so they can explore that with them? How do we help others ask the right questions or get set up for a space that they might end up deconstructing or having a faith challenge? The journey might go all over the place, but how do we help them start on a foot that's not going to burn them, or hurt them, which you talk about sort of in camp and some of the YoungLife models of cry nights and emotional manipulation. So are there ways that I don't know, citizens that we can help people find places to go and ask those questions or feel like they could at least explore those questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Would you like me to expand? No, just kidding.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I do think yes, it is absolutely possible. I do feel like, as the great theologian Phyllis Tickle said, there is a big,
the great emergence, right?
Great emergence is happening, and the laundry basket is just being shaken up and turned upside down. And there's a big, and we're refolding all the clothes. So here we find ourselves in this moment. And I think about some of the questions that I've really that I've been sitting with over the last couple of months. I had, in one conversation, this was a book event conversation, and in one conversation, my conversation partner asked, well, what is the point of ritual? He said, at what point, and I'll come back to what you were just originally asking, but he said, for children and youth, what is the point of ritual? Isn't it important in the life of faith? And, he agreed with me in the sense that like something like cry night, that is probably not the best expression of ritual that we are giving kids being children and adolescents. But at what point is there, at what point is it important to mark faith? Which I think then goes back to an even more to what you're saying. So what does it mean to give people space? And this also relates to part of what you were just saying, but what does it mean to belong without caveats? I think it is so easy for church people, as soon as a visitor shows up for the first time, they're just like, oh, hallelujah, we're finally getting our numbers up. We're going to see growth. But then it's too easy for things to turn and for it to become not about the person, but about the number, which I also talk about in my book. So what does it mean for us to simply love people because they're human? One of the things I've seen a lot of lately is I've started to see a lot of churches who are becoming who are inviting their community in without the expectation that they're going to come on a Sunday morning, but they're still like considered a part of the community when it comes to community gardens, when it comes to the monthly outreach dinners they host for low-income families, when it comes to ministries for the homeless. But I also see this in service projects. When and as they're hosting different service project events around the city. What would that look like in a place like Salem? What would it look like for everyone? And maybe y'all are already doing this. I mean, you did this a couple months ago when it came to passing out Gatorade or whatever it was you were passing out at Hoopla. But what does it mean to serve and to let that be the identifier that folks are a part of the church community? I don't know if you read the article a couple months ago, but it was talking about the rise of yoga. The rise of and really in particular, the rise of spirituality within yoga, because amongst and in young populations, and it was also connecting it to folks who had left the church, but they said the reality is that those who are attending, they're looking for community. They're looking for belonging. Like, this is what they're looking for, and they're finding it in in yoga studios. Like, they're finding, so, I mean, I think it also then went into like the rise of wellness cultures and wellness spirituality. That's what it was. But I think about that, and I mean, this is not going to be anything new, but I think to myself, well, what is the deep need right where we are? what is the deep need that maybe is even already being met? Because we all know that none of us need to recreate the wheel. If if we're in Salem and Westminster Pres down the road is already doing a ministry to the unhoused really well, then we team up with them. If Salem Alliance is already offering phenomenal coffee that everybody wants to drink, then we team up with their coffee. I mean, whatever it is, like we can go through and name the churches. But what does it mean? What does it mean to identify the deep need and to then fill it? So, maybe the deep need is water when it's really hot outside. In my neighborhood, we live in an urban environment, and my neighbor and I share a front yard planter. And just yesterday, someone uprooted my aloe. It's just a little flower garden planter, but I'm walking the dog, and I come back. It's kind of like you're the holder for the water with a container that someone took. Maybe they needed it, But I'm walking the dog. I come back and I go, wait, why is this giant hole here? Where is my aloe? Well, maybe someone needed aloe a little bit more than I did. They needed the aloe vera. So what is that need? What is the aloe vera that your community needs? And what does it mean to then step in? And so maybe it is service. Maybe it is water. I don't know what.
The thing I was thinking about in need, and I was thinking about ritual. And, that it's now an old book, Bowling Alone, where it sort of runs back to the onset of TVs in every house, where sort of the argument is that there used to be bowling leagues like you couldn't get a bowling lane, like you couldn't just go bowling because there were lanes. Everybody was there was the women's league and the men's league and the co-ed league and there was all the leagues, but now you can just go bowl whenever you want to.
Sure.
There's rarely a league night.
Sure.
But then he talked about like when we had 3 channels where you'd watch Walter Cronkite or you'd watch I Love Lucy or there were these, and then church, you go into Sunday morning. Now, whether or not there was you were gaining any value or faith from that experience, it was like you talk about cultural Catholic folks, especially a bunch of my colleagues, and my kid plays soccer, so a bunch of my Mexican friends who are Catholic. Some of them are really Catholic, and some of them are just like they just do it because that's what you do.
Yeah.
Right? Much like many Presbyterians, to be fair. But I was thinking about ritual and finding those rituals within your family, within your community, within your faith or whatever, I think is valuable, super valuable.
Yeah. Yeah, no, rituals are all around us. My younger son is going to turn 11 on Friday. Like the ritual, I'm going to be out of town, which is horrible. But what I am doing is I am setting things up right now for my older son and my husband so that we can remember to celebrate the rituals that come with a birthday in our house. So it's literally on my list of things to do. So we are going to bust out the birthday banner that I bought from Target years ago, but it is the birthday banner that has to be up for every single person's birthday strung through the kitchen. We are going to sing. They are going to go buy donuts from Donut Savant, our favorite donut shop, even though it's out of the way and it's going to be a little problematic that mom's not going to be the donut getter this time. No, the rituals are such a part of who we are and it's a part of all of our human existence for sure. But so whether we're looking at first day of school or birthdays or anniversaries or holidays throughout the year or a church service, it's full of ritual and extends beyond, like you said, the high church messaging we might sometimes associate it with.
So another ritual that we used to have in our country with TV is watching events. Even like maybe 15, 20 years ago on Twitter, like live tweeting the Oscars or something. Mm-hmm. And so this is my segue, so be impressed that
I'm ready.
I want to know what your media engage? What are you engaging? What media are you engaging with that you would recommend or think that's helping shape you or just giving you joy at the moment? Like what TV shows, podcasts, other than this one, books other than yours that you think you would love to share with folks and say, hey, this is really helpful. I really like this, or this just brought me joy.
That is a really big segue.
It's not good, but I thought
I'll run with it. One that I found myself utterly obsessed with last week. So I was on another podcast, only one other. No, I'm just kidding. I've been on a few, but I was.
I watch your social media. That's why I was like, yay, Cara's going to agree to be on with me. It's exciting.
But I was on a podcast we recorded a few months ago. The podcast is called The Culture Study. It's with a woman named Anne Helen Peterson, and Anne just looks at culture like in any and every sort of area you can think of. And so I can't remember if it was last week or the week before, but she was specifically looking at the culture of rush at sorority houses in the Deep South. Now that, just as church camp, as we originally talked about, is a very niche point of culture, so is this, it was particularly focusing on Bama Rush, Alabama, University of Alabama.
I have seen some of those TikToks. I also heard about they have like people that you can hire to help you get. Oh,
yeah.
Picked.
To hopefully help you get into the house you want to get in. So she has a Substack. She has a podcast. She's a big following on social media. She's just like the culture guru. She's phenomenal. So I just sat there at one point. She was reposting. She probably had 50, 100 videos of all these, of TikToks, of Instagrams, of every Instagram, whatever, stories. Just, she was reposting all this stuff of Bama Rush, and it sucked me in. And part of it, I don't know if we're showing our faces on our podcast. I kind of hope not, but I haven't showered today. That's not information that I generally...
We are, by the way, but
okay.
You're fine.
Oh, super. Well, I look really good. That's not information I readily share, except on a podcast with you, Greg. But,
nice.
I was going to do a quick school drop-off this morning, and then I was going to go home and shower and get all my stuff done. And then all of a sudden, one of my sons needed to go to the doctor right then for this funky thing he's got on his eyeball. So I'm showing up to the eye doctor or to the doctors in my sweatshirt and my shorts, having not showered. I say that because it is the absolute opposite of everything that takes place in these Bama Rush videos. I look at these young women, their hair. My hair looks good right now. No, it doesn't. It's pulled back in a ponytail with a little clip here at the side. But they spend hours on their hair and their makeup and everything. And I think, again, maybe it's the whole, I'm always drawn to opposites. Like the American Baptist is drawn to the Episcopal side of things, But I just sat there going, oh, wow, this is amazing. So that, as far as books go, I actually am not super in love with any of the books that I'm reading right now. I saw our mutual friend Colleen last night for book club. We read the book, it's the new Wally Lamb book, The River is Calling or something like that.
That sounds like a church in Salem.
No, it would just be called The River in Salem, wouldn't it?
That is an actual, we don't talk about them.
Well, I'll tell you the name of this book. I think it's actually it's an interesting conversation. Not that we're going to get terribly into it, but sure. The book, it's by Wally Lamb. It's called River is Waiting. Excuse me. Not River is Calling. That's the God one. River is Waiting. To me, it was a total heartstring tugger. It's Oprah's book of the month, or at least it was at one point. But to me, it felt like the author just went to Reddit, went to all these Reddit threads and was like, oh, what could I grab about addiction and sobriety? What could I grab about prison culture? What could I grab about grief and psychology and healing? And as a writer, I was like, oh, this is gross. Like, this guy doesn't know how to like actually process through things. But the book's gotten a lot of attention. So that is a book that you might want to add to your list. It gives you good discussion fodder, even if you don't like it. So there you go. Bama Rush, The River is Waiting.
That I appreciate that. I want to say, when you and I talk, I keep finding these connections, and I don't know what that's about, but the like or similarities. Let's put it that way. Similarities. My daughter plays rugby. She's in choir. She's 15. She's not a girly girl. She's got super short hair.
She didn't shower today like I didn't shower today. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. I hope so. She's in marching band practice. So
we might hope she did. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing that was connection is she's like, I want to watch American Sweethearts, which is the Dallas Cowboy cheerleader.
DCC.
Right. And we just finished the first season, and my wife grew up in Oregon, so she's granola. So we had to like pause it because it is full Texas, right? The Bama Rush. There's even one of the people, Reese, is from Bama. And I had some maybe not so generous thoughts about her fiance. But yeah, I was just like sucked in, and then also like seeing the beauty in their gifts and their skills and their talents, and not their physical beauty is there, but also that's not even the cool thing about what they're. And also, another friend of mine recommended a book I just got. It's the first in a trilogy. Is called The Expected One, and it's like
that sounds like women. A God book. You're going to say The River is Calling as a God book. This sounds like Jesus is coming. This sounds like a manual. I'm just saying.
You're not far. It is the main character. Now, I will say I'm early in, but the main character is a journalist who tries to revive or reconsider the lives of stories of women in history. So like Marie Antoinette never said, let them eat cake. I think, and there is they keep alluding to this connection with Mary Magdalene. Mm-hmm. And I think they're going to go with kind of Jesus and Mary Magdalene were married or had kids. I think that's where they're going. They're a little Dan Brownish, but
that's also Last Temptation of Christ.
Right. But it feels, it was recommended by an elder at our congregation who does a lot of cool things. And so I started reading, I was like, this is fascinating, but it's kind of, it jumps around from centuries to cities, and it's pretty cool. So that's also, I've been a friend of mine, actually Chris, told me about the show Mr. Robot that was from USA from like 2017, 2018. There's 4 seasons of it, and I am almost finished with season 3. He told me about it 2 weeks ago. I think I'm actually past him from where he started watching. But it's about this financial crisis that was started by a hack. And it is very prescient, even today.
Yeah.
Cara, I want to thank you for your time and your energy, and your give Colleen and Buren and the boys a hug for me next time you see them. Although I'm gonna see Buren in September. We're going to Montana fishing.
Oh, wow.
So I'm excited about that.
Cool.
But thank you so much for your time. Thank you much for your energy and your sharing part of your journey with us. And I look forward to reading The River is Waiting. Is that right? And I'm not going to watch Alabama Rush, because I watch it and I go, it makes me so mad, because I went to school in South Carolina. So I know, it was a small school, but I know about that stuff. And my sister was a sorority person at West Virginia, and her conversations make me tired. So, but
might not be the best fit. Yes.
Right. I appreciate you so much. I hope that your son's eye situation is fine and wonderful and dandy, and he has and your other son has a wonderful birthday. And are you, and I don't know, for your ordination, that's exciting. All the stuff's coming up. So yeah. So any last words?
Well, Reverend Dr. Greg Bolt, I don't think so. Thank you. It's been
awesome.
it's been
Thank
a
you so
pleasure.
much.